So just jumping in before this episode starts, just to give you the heads up, this video is not up to the same video quality as we are used to or we want to produce. The main reason being is this episode has been edited by somebody else, and in the transfer backwards and forwards of the videos, the video quality has come back not quite as good as we would like. It's not terrible, it's not unwatchable, you'll see what I mean in a minute. But bear with it, it's only going to happen this week. We're going to bring the editing back in-house next week. So I will be doing it. Should be back to normal next week. Now, coming up, I'm going to let you know how you can help me. Monday morning, and it's a new week here at Spitfire. Today, we load out the Cayman Island trommel into the two containers. We've got Hampsons coming in, and they're going to use their high-ab to lift the kit into the container. And I've done a bit of a time lapse so you can see how we did it. Right, so we've got all the big bits in the container. I'll show you what it looks like. It looks a bit strange in the container. Now it's all broke down. We're so used to it in the yard for so long. So the main conveyor is in this one. And they're the greedy boards for it. They'll just tidy them up. This has got to go in a bit further, so it's all the way in. To get it in, they're going to put some ratchet straps from the top coming down to here, this beam here, just to give it a bit of a lift and a tug in, and it should skid itself in there. And then the other shorter conveyor, that conveyor there, will come down off of its legs and go in the front of this container then. So that's going to go in there. And then in this other container, the power pack is down the far end. It's actually not as tight a fit in here as I thought, to be honest. I think it'd be a bit of a stretch to get me to walk down there, in fairness, because I'm not as slim as I used to be, but Ashley can probably manage it. But we put this in on round bar, actually. You can see just there. Get the camera to focus. Still see a bit of round bar underneath it. So we rolled it in on round bar. They're just going to lift this up, take them bars out. There's one there as well, that side. You can see it, round bar underneath. So we rolled it in on that. We'll just get a trolley jack in here to lift it up so it's all flat on the floor, and then we've got some ratchet straps that we'll just cross them across. So we'll come from there down to here, and then go from the top there down to that side, just to lock it all in place so that it doesn't move itself around. And then we just need to make sure that we've got everything in here. As I say, we've got two containers that you probably could have got them in a bit tighter, but it can be awkward. So two 40-foot containers, just the job. And like I say, there's loads of space still in these, but it's just how you get stuff in there without without bending and wrecking anything. First thing on Tuesday morning, just checking the manifest list on the containers, because obviously we've put everything in there, but if it doesn't all go in these containers, we're proper screwed. So there's no second chance on this. So we're just going to double check the manifest list to make sure we've got everything to go in there. So let's have a flip the camera around and I'll show you what the containers look like now. So the trommel's in that one, all secured down. There's 2 side panels underneath that go either side of the hopper. Legs for the short conveyor there. Then in this one, we've got all the hydraulics. We took all the hydraulics off just so they didn't get damaged whilst moving stuff around. It's only a matter of bolts and cable ties when we get there. So they're all in that pallet. Oversized conveyor on the floor. And the fines conveyor there. So I'm just going to run through this list now with Stuart. Make sure we got everything in here. So that's 2 containers loaded. Doors shut now. Just waiting for the 2 trucks to come and pick them up. It'll be the same as you saw in the last week's episode, where they use 1 truck to put both containers on the floor, and we've not moved them containers, so we know that they can get into them. I think the plan is for them to go from here down to Southampton docks, and then I don't know when it's sailing. I think it's going to be there for a few days, be put on a ship, and I think it's a 2 or 3 week trip to Miami in America, where it will be took off and stored in Miami and waiting for a ship to go from Miami to the Cayman Islands. I think that's probably going to be another week or 2. So looking at the date now, we're probably going to be sort of February, I'm guessing, before we have to go out to the Cayman Islands and put that together. So we're still waiting to find out the firm date of when it will land, and as soon as we know that, then we can arrange for me and Archie to go out there and put it all together. And of course we will bring that to the channel, because I think that could be quite interesting, and also where we're going could be quite interesting. So see if we can do some filming there about that place, their compost operations, some of the machinery that they've got there as well. So that's that job put to bed, just waiting for the trucks now. We're a bit short staffed in the workshop today because we've got people off on holiday. It's that time of year where people that haven't took their holiday have now got to take it before Christmas, so we've got a bit of that going on. There seems to be a bit of a bug going through the workshop. We had 1 person off last week. I've got 2 people off today with the bug, and we've only got 3 people in the workshop today. We've got Colin, who's not very well himself, Steve and Stuart in the workshop today. Everybody else is either off on holiday or off on sick. So yeah, a little bit going to be a little bit sparse on footage in the workshop today, I'm afraid, because there's not a huge amount going on. But we'll see what happens tomorrow when we've got some people back. So even though I said we were a bit short staffed, it's probably worth just going and having a look around the workshop just to see what there is in there. So as you know, we've been making some mini screens for stock. Interestingly, we've probably only got a 21 left out of these 3. 1 is definitely sold, and then the other 2 I think we've got some very strong inquiries for. So the 21Cs like this that have the conveyor, I don't think out of this initial batch, we're making 3 of these of the 21Cs and 1 of the 21, because the 21C is a more popular model than the 21. Probably shouldn't say that on camera, to be honest, but there you go. That's a fact. We do sell more 21Cs than we do 21s. Like I say, we're doing it in a batch of 3 of the 21s, 1 21. 1 of the 21Cs is definitely sold. Strong possibility that the other 2 are as well, which would just leave us with the 21. But I've also put the entire lot back through the workshop again, so they're doing another 3 21Cs, another 21 as well. So this is the first batch. And the second batch, I think what we're potentially going to do is make all the components up. So you've got the boxes and you've got the frames. And what we're probably going to do is to make the components and store them, and then do a job like to get the economies of scale and to try and get ahead of the rush next year. We're actually making a lot of components for stock, and as we sell them, we'll just make up 1s and 2s from the stock that we've made. So we're going to try that next year for the first time, because this time of year we are quite quiet, which I will explain more of in a little while, to be honest. Very serious conversations we had about that. So we're using the opportunity now, whilst things are quieter, to try and get ahead of the game for next year. But yeah, more to come on that soon. Working his way through version 3 of the sight bank. So there's a few changes been made on this. We've amended the design a little bit so that we can get it to 2.5 ton, so that it can be moved on a plant trailer behind a Land Rover and trailer type arrangement. This is the inside of it. Still got some internal skins to go on side. But yeah, in essence, it's going to look visually the same. There's just a few internal tweaks that we've made, things that we've made to make life a bit easier. So Steve's doing that one. Had a very interesting phone call this afternoon. Not this afternoon, yesterday afternoon, from a guy who's, I think he's going to buy one, and if he likes it, he'll come back for another 3. Civil engineering company that has a problem with tool theft, sees this and rang up and told us exactly what he wanted. It was almost as if he was sort of trying to sell it to us. He was that keyed up about it. So yeah, that's really good. Has anybody got these lights in their workshop? These are sodium lights. We've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 4 in here that we converted them about 12 months ago to LEDs because I thought they'd be cheaper to run. Probably a bit longer lasting because the sodium bulbs, the bulbs that are in there, they're really bright to start with. Then after about 6 months, they're not quite as bright, and then by the time that they actually eventually go, probably 2 or 3 years later, and that they're actually quite dim. They're not very bright. They sort of lose their, is it effervescence? How they call it? The lumens. Lumens will be the word. So they weren't very good. So I thought, right, what we'll do, we'll change them to. Let's go this way. We'll change them to LEDs, so it cuts down the electric bill and they last longer, because they're supposed to last something like 20,000 hours. Well, that's good for about 10 years around here. 12 months old and they're flickering. So has anybody had any experience of them lights? A little bit of an insight into why they're flickering. We've got 3 that are doing it out of the 4. They were all installed at the same time, so you'd sort of assume that they've come up to their hours, but like I say, they're only 12, 18 months old. So has anybody else had any bad experiences? Let me know in the comments. In the main workshop, one of the 3 21Cs is having some modifications. I'm just going to talk you through what we're going to do with this. So this frame here, this customer has specifically asked, and like I say, this one is actually sold. This one, we had a bit of an offer going on last month, and this customer has placed the order. He wants it being delivered in February, but he's sort of paying for it between last month and February. I think he's got a bit more to pay next month, and then it's his. You know, he's all paid for, so that's something that we've done on this one. But he has asked for some wheels to go here, which will go on an adjuster to lift it up, and then this end there's going to be a drawbar. So there'll be a couple of like top link adjusters, so that you can hook it up to, I don't know what vehicle he's got for moving it around with, to be honest. But the plan is you will push the wheels down and put the drawbar down this end, so we can move it around site behind whatever vehicle he's got. That frame there is what the wheels are going to go on. So the wheel will go that end there and that end there, and then there's a pivot on here which will be connected. I think Georgie's got a bit carried away with the size of the pin. That's the pivot pin for it. I think that's 50 mil. If it ain't 50, it's at least 45. So yeah, I don't think that's going to break. So we've got that as the pivot, and then the front panel here is going to be modified as well, which you'll see once that gets done. So yeah, that's a bit of a special one that we're doing for that customer. He's requested wheels so he can move it around. So we've done that for him. So that's also going to be an optional extra for us as well. So I've got a favour to ask, okay? For some reason, the algorithms at YouTube are not doing us any favours. We've got good click-through, we've got good view duration, but the problem is YouTube doesn't appear to be offering our videos to many people, and that's causing us a bit of a problem. Now YouTube, how it works is YouTube wants you guys eyeballs on the screen. Keep watching it so they can keep putting ads in your face. Okay, now what they really want from that is videos that people actually want to watch. So they favour the really popular videos. Now, as a smaller channel like us, to try and buck the trend and get in front of people is proving a bit of a challenge. So as I say, we've got good click-through, good view duration, people leaving comments, but it's not breaking the records when it comes to the viewing figures. So my favour is, if you could please just pause this video now, go to the comments, leave us a comment, even if it's a thumbs up, whatever it is, leave us a comment, like the video, and then along the bottom where you've got share and all that sort of stuff, if you scroll along, there's possibly a hype button. If you could go and press the hype button, let's see if we can get this episode to blow up and stick 2 fingers up, to YouTube, and see if we can buck the algorithm trend. So that's the second container loaded on the back of the truck, all ready to go. The first one went earlier on, that's the second one. So the next time we'll see that will be in the Cayman Islands, but probably by the time we get there, that will have been and gone.
So, company update from somewhere just a little different. I am in Disneyland Paris this weekend. It's Tuesday now, and I'm at the Marvel Hotel. So, by the lifts actually. Not staying at the Marvel, but we're here for a drink. Yeah, bit of a different company update. We've had our Christmas party last weekend, so that was good fun. There'll be some pictures, I'm sure, on this episode of the team. I think there's 34 of us that came along. Some other good things, we've had our Cayman Islands trommel all packed away, and that has been moved out for shipping. It goes to Miami first and then goes to the Cayman Islands. Georgina, from what I understand yesterday, has been selling more trommels, so that's really good. It's just a lot of work that goes into our sales and marketing and how we future-proof all of that, really, I guess. So the work that we do then ensures that we get the sales that we do, like Georgina did yesterday. So yeah, really great work by the team. I'll be back from here Thursday, so back in not so sunny Brixworth, and I'll be leaving Paris.
Now, if you are, or you know somebody who's in business, you'll probably know how this year has gone. Now, as a business, we're fairly well positioned to sort of weather the storm, probably better than some. I've always protected our net assets position to make sure that it's strong, because we are in a business where we have big peaks and big troughs from big projects. So we always have to be in a financial position where we can weather a month or two's storm, or, you know, if it becomes a little bit longer than that, we've got the resources to be able to cover that, and we are in a strong position for that. But there's probably a lot that won't, and there's a lot that have already gone to the wall this year, and I think next year there'll be some more. You know, last week we showed you how we think this year's gone for us, and from my point of view, last week's meeting showed that we had scored some own goals as regards the business, and it just shows how easy things can run away from yourself. Now, I'm not saying that we're bad, and that wasn't what last week's meeting was about. I think we're okay, but I don't do mediocrity. I want us to be next level. We do the lean thing in the workshop. A lot of people don't do that. I want us to be the very best that we can be. So we analyse everything. What you can't measure, you can't manage. So we measure a lot of things around here. We have scorecards that everybody in the office environment is responsible for certain numbers on that, and then we measure the performance of the business off the back of that. But as I say, if you are, or you know somebody in business, you'll know how tough this year has been. Now, I've run this business long enough to remember what it was like in 2008 when it was the credit crunch, and that was like somebody turned a light switch off at that point. It's quite worrying times at the time, and the back end of this year is beginning to feel a little bit similar, if I'm honest. I know a lot of companies have been quiet for most of this year. We've been pretty busy up until fairly recently, and then it has slowed down. We are busy doing other things. We're doing stock machines for next year. We've got lots of other stuff going on. We've still got the float tank that's just been finished off, and some other projects going on. And there's new stuff coming in. We've had a new order coming this week, which I think Andrea's covering in her weekly update. So stuff is still going on. But just to put it into context for you, we now do 4 to 5 times the amount of advertising and marketing than we did 12 months ago. We now bring in more inquiries than we did 12 months ago. But the conversion on those inquiries has fell through the floor. We, for instance, I don't know the exact numbers, but say every 10 inquiries we had 12 months ago, you would probably get 4 orders. Every 10 inquiries we get now, we probably get 1 order. And that puts that into context. And we are now in a process of super analysing absolutely everything in the sales process, in the inquiry process, how we respond to customers, the sort of communication that we do. Everything is now analysed to make sure we get the best out of our efforts, whatever we do. We're sort of setting ourselves up for success in so many ways. But I don't think you can break away from the trend of the fact that we are not in a good place as an economy. The budget 12 months ago proper screwed us over. And I can't run this business on the basis that, you know, woe be me, the government screwed me over, everything's rubbish, because we are our own economy and we have to trim our sail to suit the conditions. And that is something that we have definitely done this year. We've definitely trimmed our sail to suit the conditions, and to the point where there's a lot of exciting things coming up in the new year that you'll see in the new year, where we've sort of changed direction a little bit. We've brought some product lines in that wouldn't be our normal product lines, or we're going to, because we need to spread ourselves out a little bit thinner across different markets. But it is tough out there. It is very tough, and I'm hearing it more and more. Just recently, there's people I know in the industry that post on TikTok and other social media platforms, and they're sort of saying the same. And even the ones that are active on socials, some of them doesn't seem to be affecting them, but even the ones that I know on socials and that, they have noticed a decrease in work. It is definitely quieter out there. And I can wholeheartedly pretty much blame the government for this. The government in the budget 12 months ago, they did certain things. Yeah, raising national insurance, yeah, it's a kick in the nuts, that is. But it's not ideal. But it's the lack of confidence that it puts into the market. And it's gone across the board now. It's gone across the board in industry, where there is a distinct lack of confidence in doing anything. Nobody is massively enthusiastic about investing, spending money. They've changed the goalposts. So pretty much, if you've got a business that's worth anything and you die, your kids are going to have to pay tax on it. So all of a sudden, why do you want to grow your business? What's the point? So I think everybody's sort of taking stock of the fact of like, well, what are we aiming for? Because a lot of people are aiming to grow their business to pass on to their kids, but now there's inheritance tax implications, or, you know, capital gains tax, or whatever it is. There's different tax implications where in the past it wouldn't have been a problem. It now is a problem. And I would imagine there's a lot of people out there reassessing their position and seeing where they're going to go in the future. So, on the very unlikely chance that Keir Starmer or Rachel Reeves is watching this, sort your out and get this country back going, because we've got so much potential in this country. It is untrue, but the government is holding us all back, hell-bent on screwing over the small to medium-sized enterprises. So that sounds a little bit doom and gloom and negative. I don't want to be doom and gloom and negative, because you just spiral downwards if that is the case. So let's put a positive spin on it. Next week, I'm going to tell you what we're doing about it. Next year, what that looks like for us. And I am genuinely quite excited about next year. We've done a lot of work recently that puts us in a very good position for next year. And it is starting to pay off. Probably trying to buck the trend a little bit. So yeah, see you next week. I'll tell you all about it. So this week's fun fact, I'm back on Rolls-Royce jet engines because I think it's a really interesting story. I'm going to keep going with this as long as I can. So Rolls-Royce, now we all know Rolls-Royce as a luxury car manufacturer. Started in 1904, but as I said in previous episodes, by the time World War II came around, Frank Whittle, who invented the jet engine, he was the developer, had passed it on to the Rover Car Company through the Ministry of Defence in the UK. I mean, Rover Car Company said, well, it's not really for us. I had a chat with Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce picked it up and ran with it. So we've already covered that in the past. So Rolls-Royce, they'd done plain engines with the Merlin engine and that sort of stuff like you've got in the Spitfire. But their first jet engine was done in 1944. And the first aeroplane they put it in was the Meteor. So that was the first jet engine in a military aeroplane in 1944. And the first production jet engine was called the Welland. Now, the River Welland is near us, so I wonder if that is connected. But it was based on Whittle's original designs. Apparently, Rolls-Royce thought Whittle's designs were quite crude in the early days, and Rolls-Royce, being the perfectionists they are, had to refine it, shall we say, and bring it out to create that first engine, the Welland. But as I say, it powered the Gloucester Meteor, the first jet engine, the first jet fighter. But it also went on, where have I read here? It also went on. So that was the first engine they did, but they went on to then do an Avon and a Conway engines, which were both used in military and civilian aircraft. So next week, we'll go into a bit more how jet engines were used. Rolls-Royce jet engines were used in civilian aircraft, and we're going to continue this theme and see how far we can go with it because it's good British engineering and it's fairly local as well. So that's it for this week's episode. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. We should have some more workshop footage for you next week. The last couple of weeks it's been a little bit tricky to get some real quality workshop footage for you guys because Archie's been off on holiday. He's had some well-deserved rest. That being said, as I say, we're back to normal in next week's episode. This is the last episode before Christmas. So I'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you for watching. Keep liking and subscribing if you've not already. Leave in the comments what you'd like to see because this channel is now currently changing in various different ways. And we're going to try and bring it to you viewers. So let us know what you'd like to see. Have a good Christmas. We'll see you next week.